Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. I hope they all are doing great. The setup today is just not cooperating with me. Not that like in general this was a good setup, but today it just seems worse than it was last time. But whatever, it's fine. So today I will be sharing with you all the books that I read in 2021. I read 21 books in total, technically 19, but I'm still gonna talk about the other two. Also, a little disclaimer, I actually started reading last year in like June, so I'm still very much like an amateur. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of briefly talk about each plot and what I rated them. So let's get started. So the first book I'm gonna talk about is Throne of Glass. This is a young adult fantasy book series. And this is my all-time favorite series. The entire series as a whole, I rate a 5 out of 5. I'm obsessed. I love it. So this is about a girl named Selena Sardouthian, who is an assassin, a teenage assassin, and she inevitably gets caught for her crimes and gets sent to a salt mine where she's like a slave, labor camp, whatever. And then one day, one of the royal guards, specifically the guard that serves the evil king, he pulls her from the labor camp and brings her back to the castle where she gets confronted by the king, and he proceeds to tell her that she has to enter this competition where she oh my god, I can't talk, where she has to like fight with other assassins and just kind of other criminals, and the person that wins becomes the king's champion, which pretty much entails that they have to do like his dirty work or whatever. Yeah, it took me like a month to read the first one. The second one also took me like a month, and then the third book, which is called Arrowfire, that's when I really started getting into it. There is a specific order that you can read the books in. Everyone does it differently. There are 8 books in total. It took me 6 months to read them. One of the books specifically, it's called Tower of Dawn, is my least favorite. It was really difficult for me to read it. I also just wasn't into it, and I actually didn't finish it, so technically I'm kind of cheating, but it's fine. Yeah, it's a really long series, but I love the main character, such a baddie, and I just love the characters, and I also cried when I read the last book. Yeah, I love this series. It's my favorite. Now I'm going to kind of show you in order which books I read, but keep in mind that in the 6 months that I was reading Throne of Glass, I was reading like books in between, okay? So the next one I read was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Throne of Glass was written by Sarah J. Maas, by the way. So I absolutely hated this book, but I did read the second and third book. So this is a trilogy. We have The Cruel Prince, the first one, and then we have The Wicked King, and then The Queen of Nothing. I loved the second book, and I really liked the third one too. But I did not like the first book. I did not. So this is about a girl named Jude who has a twin sister named Taryn and an older sister named Vivian, but they call her Vivi, and they all live in the mortal world with their parents. And then one day they get a knock on their door, and I don't remember which sister opens the door, but one of them does. And in front of her is this like Shrek looking guy. He doesn't really look like Shrek, but his skin is like green and he has like fangs. And this creature proceeds to pretty much unalive their parents, and then he like abducts them, kidnaps them, and brings them back to his magic-filled world called Elfheim. So the cruel prince, his name is Carden. He pretty much hates Jude, and because of this, Jude doesn't want to she doesn't want to back down. She wants to be a knight in the castle, so she's like trying to prove herself and her strength. And because of her fighting back, Carden and his little clique of friends make her life miserable, and the things that he does to her is really cruel. I know that it's called The Cruel Prince, but like, context matters, okay? I didn't know in which way he was going to be cruel. Like, I assumed that maybe he was just going to be cruel to everyone but her, but no, he's absolutely horrible to her, and I don't understand how she, like, fell for him. I don't. I hate the first book for that reason. But whatever. The second and third book saved it for me though, and this has become one of my favorite series as well. I rated it like a 4, but I kind of feel tempted to rate it a 3.5 because I hate the first book. Okay. Excuse me. After I finished the series, I was kind of like I didn't want it to be over, so I also got this one. It's called How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories, and it's just like a book that has like drawings, and it has like just many different stories. Like, it has like smaller stories, like several different stories. It kind of explains his childhood, and I mean, yeah, when you learn about his childhood and his family, I understand why he behaved the way he did. Here we have a little map. I love the maps. And here we have Carden, and then we have there she is. There we have Jude. So the next one I read was a contemporary, whatever. This is just like a simple romance book. A lot of people love this book. It was just okay to me. So it's called You and Me on Vacation. It also has a different title, which is People We Meet on Vacation. It's by Emily Henry. So this is a friends to lovers book. So it's about these two people called Poppy and Alex. And so this book kind of goes like to the past, and then it goes goes back to the present, and then it goes back to the past. Whatever, you know what I mean? So pretty much, Poppy and Alex met 12 years ago, and then it kind of leads up to what happened 2 years ago, where everything went wrong. So pretty much Poppy, she has to go to a wedding, and her and Alex used to travel together every summer. So she, makes up a plan, and they end up going to the wedding together. And by this point, they hadn't seen each other for 2 years, and that's when it kind of starts going back to the past, and it will like lead up to what happened 2 years ago. Does that make sense? So I rated it a 2. So next we have another fantasy. This is probably one of the most well-known YA fantasies right now. So we have A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is the same author that wrote A Throne of Glass. So this is pretty much like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I don't really see many similarities between the two. So it's about this girl named Feyre, who is a huntress, and she pretty much like hunts every morning to feed her family, which is already problematic in itself, and I absolutely despise her sisters. So she has 2 sisters, and a dad, and they live in like a little cabin. On one of her little hunting trips, she comes across a wolf, and she ends up killing the wolf, to sell its fur and to feed her family. But that ended up being a really bad idea. And one thing leads to another, and she gets kidnapped by a fae guy. And the story goes on from there. I liked the first book. I did like it. I still like Throne of Glass more. I actually have not read the last one, which is A Court of Frost and Starlight. So technically I'm cheating a little bit, but I kind of know the basics of what it's about. It was okay. I know people love this series, but it didn't do it for me the way that it did for others. One thing that's exciting is that they will be doing a TV series on this, which is going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of CGI, and if they have like a low budget, it's going to look a little stupid. But yeah. I would rate Akotar probably like a 3.5 maybe. I don't know. Maybe a 4. I did enjoy them. Maybe a 4. So the next book we have is Serpent and Dove. This is another YA fantasy. So far there are 3 books. I do have all 3. I'm currently reading the second one, which I will hopefully finish in January. This one I read in almost a day. I really liked it. It's about this witch named Lou, who escaped her coven for reasons, and in order to survive, she becomes a thief, and whatnot. She has a best friend named Coco, who she didn't necessarily escape her coven. I think she can kind of freely go as she pleases, but I mean both their families are a little light gray. So they pretty much just stick together. And then we have a guy named Reed, who is a witch hunter. So we already got that enemies to lovers, a witch versus witch hunter. We love that. And they end up in a situation where they are forced to get married. So it has the forced marriage trope, and I love it. This is also my first hardcover that I got. I think I rated this like a 3.5 maybe. In the back it says, a brilliant debut, I don't know how to say that, full of everything I love, a sparkling and fully realized heroine, an intricate and deadly system of magic, and a searing romance that kept me reading long into the night. Serpent and Death is an absolute gem of a book that was quoted by the one and only Sarah J. Maas. So the next one we have is The House on the Cerulean Sea. I absolutely love this book. It's so good. I would rate it like a solid 4.5 maybe. So good. So it's about this guy called Linus, however you pronounce it. Sorry, I'm getting Snapchats. And he monitors, his job is to monitor orphanages, specifically like the children are magical beings, and so he goes to, to these orphanages to make sure everything is okay. And then one day he gets summoned by the very highest in his firm, and they tell him that he has to spend a month in this specific orphanage where the children are supposedly really dangerous. And obviously, as it turns out, that's not really quite true. I was really surprised of how the children, so there are 6 children in total, one of them being the Antichrist. Really interesting. But what I really liked about it is the way that the kids were described, like their physical appearance, because I expected them to just look like regular kids, but no, that really surprised me. It sounds boring maybe to some of you, but it's really wholesome. It's so good. It does have LGBTQ relations. So cute, so wholesome. I really like this book, bitch. 10/10. Would recommend. I do want to read his other book, which is called Under a Whispering Door. I do want to read that. Next, we have The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. This is another contemporary, and this actually at first was a fan fiction. I literally don't remember what they're called, but in Star Wars, oh my god, Adam Driver, is that his name? He plays a character in Star Wars, and he has like a lover. That's pretty much them. And his name is also the character's name. This guy, his name is Adam. So this book is really cute as well. Again, I rated it a 4. So it's about this girl named Olive, who is a PhD student at I don't remember. I think it was like best friend named Anne that she has a boyfriend because Olive and this other guy, I think his name was Jeremy, they went out on a date. But then Olive's best friend Anne turned out to like get along with him really well. So Jeremy and Anne ended up hitting it off, just, you know, really hitting it off. And so because of like girl code and all that, Anne did not want to proceed her relationship with Jeremy because, you know, Olive went out with him and stuff. She's not into Jeremy and she just wants her friend to be happy, so she ends up kissing this guy. He's a professor. He's not her professor, but he's a professor at this university. So she ends up kissing him, and they end up forming like a fake dating relationship. And she's like, "Look, I have a boyfriend. It's fine." So Anne and Jeremy are living happily ever after. Next we have For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. I don't know if you can tell which retelling this is. This is a Red Riding Hood retelling. I think it's also supposed to be like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I'm gonna stick with Red Riding Hood. This one's kind of hard to explain. Pretty much it follows this girl named Red, who is pretty much her only like purpose is to be sacrificed to the wolf. The lore, if you will, the myth goes that the wolf is keeping these 5 kings as like prisoners. So Red has to be like a sacrifice, and if she's like worthy enough, I guess, the wolf will let them go. The second book comes out in like July 14th or something, so I'm excited about that. I liked it though. I would rate it like a 3. It's about these like, it's about like this woods area. This woods, there's this wood that's like alive, that's pretty much keeping the kings. For some reason, it kind of reminds me of, if you guys have seen Howl's Moving Castle, it kind of reminds me of that. Not like the film itself, not the plot, but the characters. Because like Howl has like a darkness in him or whatever. Something that's like taking over. And it's the same thing with the wolf. He's not actually a wolf, he's a man. By the way. So now we're gonna move on to the last ones we have. So I have not actually finished these yet, but I'm almost done. The first one we have is Kingdom of the Wicked. I also have the second book, which I kind of regret buying, but whatever. This is the book tag that I got from my boyfriend, by the way. Has a little ruler in the back. So it's about this girl named Amelia, who's a witch. She has a twin sister named Victoria, who's also a witch. This is the third book I have, fantasy book that I have, where it's twin related. Fantasy books really love the twin trope. Anyway, and one day Amelia finds her twin sister's decapitated body, which naturally just kind of brings her into making stupid decisions. So she ends up meeting this demon named Wrath. So pretty much we have the 7 deadly sins, which I that's what like reeled me in. I love that idea. I love the seven deadly sins, the four horsemen type of vibe. So we have wrath, and you know, I did not like the writing, and that made me not enjoy the book. Like, I know that the author was really trying to make wrath seem really intimidating. Like, to me, it just wasn't, like, at all. I don't know, I didn't feel any powerful vibe from him. I don't know how to explain it. I just didn't like the writing. I'm still gonna finish it and whatnot, but I didn't like it. So this I'm probably gonna rate like a 2.5. It's getting the 0.5 because I like the seven deadly sins storyline. So it says, two sisters, one murder, a quest for vengeance, a quest for a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself. So the last one, this one's kind of random. I wanted to read this book since I was like young. So we have The Diary of Anne Frank. I haven't finished it yet. I don't have that much left. I don't really know what to say about it. It's the Diary of Anne Frank. It's really sad to read. I really want to go to, like, I really want to visit one of the concentration camps. And I really, really want to go to the annex, which is where they were in hiding. Okay, so that's all the books that I read this year. Again, I'm sorry about the explanation of the books. I'm really trash at explaining plots. Hopefully you'll forgive me, okay? So yeah, let me know if you've read any of them, and which one's your favorite. And yeah, so I'll make another one hopefully by the end of the month. There's a few books. There are a few books I have to read. I have a ton left.